Hello everyone, Marcangelo Pagulayan, and in this video we will be dissecting a pig's kidney. On the first video it was about the pig's heart, in which I have explained the circulation and everything such. And in this video will be mainly about kidney, its external structures, internal structures, and the path of blood by the kidney and the becoming of urine within it. Now, let's get on to it. Pack your dissecting kit, ready your kidney, your pan, and your gloves, of course. I know what you're thinking, everyone. The kidney looks awful because it is missing the veins and arteries that I'll be needing. However, nothing can stop us nurses from doing what we can do to finish the job. I'll explain what I can. Now, without further ado, let's try and locate the vein and artery in the ureter. Now here I've located a hole on the top side, in which I believe is the renal artery. And then the renal artery is responsible for carrying large amounts of blood from the aorta into the kidney. And in the middle portion, in here, this is hole. I believe that this is the renal vein, in which this is responsible for carrying the blood from the kidney and the ureter to the inferior vena cava, and the large vein that carries the blood to the heart from the lower part of the body. And from the lower side, I've located another hole in here, in which I believe this is the passageway of the ureter, and the ureter contains the renal pelvis. Now let's proceed to the internal structure. Now moving on to the internal structure of the kidney, there are three regions of it. We have the renal cortex, the renal medulla, and the renal pelvis. The renal cortex is the outer region of the kidney. It is the solid looking outermost part of the kidney here. This part. It is the outermost part of the kidney, and it is the renal cortex, in which it contains many small arteries and veins that carry blood to and from approximately 1 million nephrons located in the cortex here. Next is we have the renal medulla, in which is the deeper region. These are the triangular regions of the tissue in the medulla, in which there they are. They're like cone-shaped renal pyramids, but I believe, for me personally, they're like flower petals, in which these are the fibrous striped triangular zones in the medulla that contain the collecting ducts, which collect the urine from the kidney tubules of the nephrons in the cortex between the pyramids. These are the renal columns that contain the middle-sized arteries and veins that carry blood between the nephrons in the cortex and the renal artery and vein. There they are. It's the renal medulla. And then we have the renal pelvis. Everyone, take note that the renal pelvis should not be confused with the pelvis bone in the lower part of the abdominal cavity. Okay? They are different. Again, everyone. Now, renal pelvis, it is the hollow area in the center of the kidney, in which the collecting ducts drain into the pelvis. From there, the urine passes out through the ureter to the urinary bladder. Now, the unfiltered blood enters the kidney through the renal arteries that are found in the hyaluronic region here, in which it branches off into the segmental arteries. Then it will get along the spaces between the renal pyramids known as the renal columns, in which these blood vessels are known as the interlobal arteries. Now, after it reach it, it will split off into the top or the base of the renal pyramids, and these are known as the arcuate arteries. Then it will further branch into the renal cortex here, going on to the outermost part of the kidney. As it will branch off into the renal cortex, as the interlobar arteries are the cortical radiate arteries. Now, these blood vessels serve multiple nephrons, while filtration of the blood occurs specifically in the glomerulus region, in which where blood is supplied into the glomerulus vein afferent arterioles. Now, once the waves are filtered blood, it exceeds to the afferent arterioles and then diverges into the peritubular capillaries, in which these capillaries supply the bloodstream into the bloodstream proximal in the cell-convoluted tubules and into the collecting duct into the vas secreta, which supply the blood to the loop of Henle in the renal medulla. It will then converge into the cortical radiate veins or the interlobal veins. Then it will pass through the arcuate veins at the base of the pyramids, in which this leads to the blood back at the renal columns at the interlobal veins, and then goes into the renal veins in the hyaline region. And before sending the filtered blood into the inferior vena cava of the heart, the glomerular filtration, which happens in the renal cortex. Now, urine formation. Urine formation, we have three processes. These major processes are the glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and the tubular secretion. First, let us have glomerular filtration, in which the glomerular filtration happens in the renal cortex of the kidney, such as where the water and solutes smaller than the proteins are forced through the capillary walls and pours of the glomerular capsule into the renal tubule. Next is the tubular reabsorption. Water, glucose, amino acids, and needed ions such as potassium and sodium are transported out of the filtrate into the tubule cells and then enter the capillary blood. And lastly is we have the tubular secretion, in which the excess hydrogen, potassium, creatine, and drugs are removed from the peritubular blood and secreted by the tubule cells into the filtrate. And this filtrate, it will go down into the urinary bladder. So that includes the pathway of the filtrate of the urine on our kidney.